Hello, my name is Imelda Donnelly, and I am in the U.S. History 2018-2019 class, and today I will be talking about a few defined concepts. I have to read this because I wrote it out, and I thought a little bit about the topic, but a few defined concepts of immersion that I identified as having an effect on how I live my life after the experience. So, in a few simpler terms, just some lessons I picked up that can not only apply to how I learn, but how I live my life in general. So the first one that I will speak about is that an unexpected experience is the most authentic. When I learned that I was going on this immersion, one of the draws was being able to speak French in a homestay, because the country is mixed between French and then also Berber and then Darija, which is a dialect of Arabic. So I was expecting I'd get to this homestay and then I'd be able to speak French and make connections and talk about different lives, compare, contrast, etc., your basic immersive experience that would be easy to talk about. When I got there, however, we learned that only our host father spoke French, and then our host mother only spoke Arabic. And we also learned that normal conversation is more present. It's not really who you are, it's more people being interested in each other. So that was an adjustment for me for sure. But after the initial bit of uncomfortableness, when Rachel and Heather and I settled in, it was like we didn't really need the words to be able to connect just on a human basis. So, for instance, we would show each other pictures of our families or of trips we've been on and try to figure out using different words. And she invited us back. She would cook for us. She would encourage that we eat more than we wanted to. And it was kind of like I appreciate you as a human being without actually needing to say it in words. Another unexpected experience were the markets. I think that was one of the main draws for the immersion, spices piled high, rugs everywhere. And in reality, that is part of it, but the other part of the market is just winding, twisting, very confusing, very hard to navigate. But some of the coolest things happened in that center, different lamp shops and authentic leather making stores that we found, and little corners, secret corners we'd find. It was like finding little treasures everywhere. So that was very interesting to me. So basically the takeaway from that was the experience that you do experience, aside from your expectation, can be just as great as your expectation and therefore more authentic because it's a surprise. It is an experience. It's something new. Another takeaway is that welcoming visitors is one of the best gifts, and this can definitely be used in our daily life whenever you meet someone new, because, for instance, we were walking through a village one day, and it was a Berber village, so it's in rural areas, and we were just walking through this town, and this group of girls, we were walking past, they would come up to us, and they would just kiss us on both cheeks, it's a greeting, but it's also more intimate for us as Americans or Westerners, but for them, it's just you're welcome here, we accept you on a human basis. Another instance of that was I was in a bathroom, and it was a co-ed bathroom in a restaurant, and a man walked in, and he was like, "Oh, are you American?" And I said, "Yes," and he said, "You are welcome here," and he kept saying, I think he said it 5 times, not "you're welcome," how we say in America, "thank you, you're welcome." "You are welcome here," all of those words at once. So that just kind of fit in as a tourist who sometimes feels like you're barging into someone else's country. Being told "you are welcome here" is a big gesture. So in our daily lives, we can definitely apply that to people who come to our country or people who come from different backgrounds, just letting them know they're constantly being appreciated because it's definitely more of a welcome environment. Another takeaway that I learned is service leaders are the best kind. So leaders who recognize a need in a community and try to serve that as best as possible. That's what a service leader means. So one of the first instances of this was the organization that we ended up spending most of our time with, which was Darcy Hamad, and they noticed that there was several communities in the area that were lacking water. So they built these fog nets to capture the fog, and it was such an intricate, amazing system to see, but it captured the fog and it brought it to these villages. And every single time you'd hear someone speak about this, it was not like, wow, we're doing these great things for these people, go us. It was more like, this is the need, it's fact, we recognized it, like we helped them achieve it, and we're proud of our work, but it was also very humble. Another instance from that was when we visited Mr. Bouchard's friends who moved to Morocco, and he mentioned that they had been, like, they were comfortable living in America. They had good jobs and comfortable places to stay. And so when they moved to Morocco, they started this disability center for kids who are born with defects and who need help walking, need help learning different life skills. And all the things they talked about, they were so passionate. They would build these different devices for the children, and their goal was to get a 3D printer to print these shoes for their feet so they could walk normally. So you could tell how invested they were in it, and it wasn't something they had to consciously think about, like, oh, I have to do these things, I have to do community service, this is something that's going to fulfill me as a person. It was like, we're passionate about coming up with solutions for issues or problems that might affect other people. So the takeaway from all this was that observing and applying is very important in immersion. So for me, I like to lead a lot. I like to go head on into a problem. But this immersion really taught me to slow down and just take a step back, look around, learn from different people, learn from the service leaders, learn from my homestay mother, learn from the girls in the Berber village, and see what they were doing and see how I could apply it to my daily life since I admired them so much. So that was what I took from my immersion, and thank you for watching.